Well, the short-term budget for Congress is now $4 billion lighter, but one senator says that's nothing to write home about. Joining us now is Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas. He's a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, joins us live from Kansas City. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Shannon, it's my pleasure to have this conversation with you and our viewers.
Well, I want to start out by asking you about a guest we had on earlier, House Democrat Jim McDermott. He said when it comes to what's playing out on Capitol Hill that Republicans actually want to create chaos. They don't want to solve the economy. In fact, they want to undermine it so that you can take out President Obama by defeating him in 2012. How do you respond to your Capitol Hill colleagues' comments?
That makes absolutely no sense. And in fact, every member of the Senate that I've had conversations with over a long period of time now, the last several months, have been interested in trying to resolve this issue. I don't think anyone is looking for that fight. We're looking for a resolution. And I think too often this issue about government spending is portrayed as a philosophical or political issue in which it's Republicans who want to not grow government, Democrats who want to spend more money. The reality is that these decisions have huge consequences to everyday Americans, and this is not about necessarily some philosophical debate. It's about whether or not America is going to have a bright future and whether or not our citizens are going to be able to find employment because of a growing economy. And when we fail to move in the direction of balancing that budget, it means that there's going to be greater inflation, higher interest rates, uncertainty in the economy, and businesses are going to continue to retrench. So this has virtually nothing to do with about scoring points. Americans are tired of that political game in which it's all about which side scores points on the other side. This is about our ability to preserve our country's economy, not only for our citizens today, but for our future, for our kids and grandkids.
And Senator, I mean, you've served in both houses here, the House now and the Senate. Right now they're divided. I mean, the Senate is controlled by Democrats, the House by Republicans. Both sides can continue to pass or promote plans that they have, but where did they meet in the middle? I mean, both sides have agreed and admitted that things are going to have to be cut, whether it's domestic, whether it's defense, whether it's entitlements. Is anyone going to be willing to take on sort of that elephant in the room, entitlements, that really is such a big chunk of what's ultimately got to be solved?
Shannon, that's an awfully good point. I mean, what we're arguing about here at the moment, Republicans say reducing spending by $61 billion. The president, in my view, offers a paltry $6 billion. Clearly, it's got to be something more significant than that. I think the president and many congressional Democrats are just in denial. But the other thing to remember about this debate is we're talking about funding for this year. We're talking about just the next 7 months. We've got to get off of this debate, get it resolved, talk about the budget for next year, and as you say, get to the point in which we're talking about long-term spending issues and the imbalance that's there in Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. And even perhaps more importantly, get to the point in which we're talking about growing the economy, a certain tax code, a regulatory environment in which businesses can make decisions about their future without worrying about what the next thing is going to come from Washington, D.C. that's going to put them out of business, about interest rates. We need to be talking about the long-term opportunities we have to grow the American economy and in the process put everyday Americans back to work in better paying jobs. So we're arguing about 7 months, and it's important. It's not an issue we can walk away from, but we got to quickly get to next year's spending, to long-term spending issues related to the entitlement program, and most importantly, we got to get to the point in which we are producing an economy that is growing jobs for Americans.
Quickly, Senator, I want to ask you about the fact that we did see some improvement in the unemployment numbers this week. They came in at 8.9%. And again, there were some that said Republicans weren't happy about that because it meant that maybe policies other than theirs were working. How do you respond?
Well, I respond that anytime an American finds a job, anytime a Kansan finds employment, that's a great day. We want that to happen time and time again. But clearly, the policies of spending more federal dollars in the short term and especially in the long term have proven to be failures. This is not a sign that those billions of dollars that we're spending is turning the economy around. In fact, we know that in the long term, it's going to be unsustained. We've got to get to the long-term policies that put people to work. And the employment and unemployment rates are going to fluctuate on a monthly basis. But let's look long-term. And not just long-term in Washington, D.C. is the next election. We got to get beyond that. Long-term in America, across the country, is what's good for our kids and grandkids.
Yes, the election cycle is never over, as I'm sure you know. Senator Jerry Moran of Kansas, thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you.